guys, I am back. I wanted to do a quick video about motherhood, and I wanted to talk about me, myself, and my journey to inspire other women and to let them know that they're not crazy if they feel certain things that are not the way they thought they should feel or whatever. I am inspired to do this video because I have been reading through different comments from mothers about how they thought they would feel a certain way when they held their newborn and how that's not the reality, or vice versa. And I just want to speak on these things because I believe mothers should talk more about these things so other mothers would know, like, hey, it's not abnormal, or you know what, maybe that isn't normal, or yeah, girl, I felt that too. So I'm going to share my story, and I hope this encourages other mothers and other women to share their stories as well. So let's start from the very, 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 very beginning. So when I was 19, I got pregnant with my first child. I had her at 20, and I loved my pregnancy. Like, I loved it. That was the best pregnancy I ever had. Maybe not my circumstances surrounding it, like my job and people I was surrounded by, stuff like that. But I was very good at just focusing on my pregnancy and my little one. So I really enjoyed that. Even my labor was awesome, and giving birth at the hospital was wonderful. I just had a good staff, and I remember the nurse. Her name was Candace, but she said, "You could just call me Candy. Everybody calls me Candy." And till this day, I still remember her. She was so sweet and so nice, and she kept giving me a hug, telling me how great I was doing. And I got an epidural at 7 centimeters, and she was the one telling me, you don't have to get an epidural. You're doing so great. But I had I didn't have any education about non-medicated births. I knew about my baby's development because I was always going on to baby center and checking how my baby was developing weekly. But I didn't think about me. I only thought, oh, when I go into labor, I'll just get an epidural and lay down in the bed at the hospital, because I thought that was like, that's how you give birth. And that is a way to give birth, but in my mind at that time, I thought that was the only way you give birth. I didn't think of anything else. But I remember I gave birth to her. Her dad was there. My best friend, Tina was there. And my other friend, we were so cool while we were in the military. But we haven't talked in a while. You were there too. Hey, what's up if you're watching this video? Miss you. But anyway, we were all there, and it was a good time. And I remember the moment that they brought her out to me and put her on my chest. I held her, and I had like this surge of emotion, and it was coming like from the gut, like right, and it just stopped. Like, it did not come out. And I think I was getting ready to cry, like, oh, my baby, because I've been wanting to see her and meet her. But it stopped because reality, like, hit me right in the gut, like, pow! Like, girl, this baby is in your, like, hands, and her life depends on you. And that scared the crap out of me at that time. And I remember, like, oh no, what did I do? Like, that's exactly what I was thinking. So no, it wasn't like love at first sight. I loved her, and I loved her all through my pregnancy. But when I met her, I was like, I'm not ready for this. What did I do? But that didn't stop me from being a good mom. I remember, like, the first week, I remember this. I was crying so hard, and she was crying. Like, I was only crying for that first week, and I was looking at her. She was on the changing table, and because she was my first, her room was decked out. She had everything that that they advertise for you to buy for the baby. Things that you realize later on when you have other kids you don't need. You just need a blanket to put it down on the couch and change the baby. Like, I had everything. And I remember looking at her. She was crying, and then I start crying. I started crying, and she looked at me like, "For real? You crying?" Like, I'm telling you. She was like, "Ah," and I was like, "Ah," and then she just stopped, and she was like, "You, like, are you okay? Like, I'm supposed to be crying. What's up with you?" And when I saw her do that, I started cracking up laughing in the middle of my cry because I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm ridiculous. Look at me. I'm over here crying over a newborn who needs my help, and I'm crying back at her like, oh, I need help too." And I realized, okay, that's it. I'm taking control of the situation. I'm your mama. I made my bed. Uh, you know, I slept in that bed. I'm gonna make my bed, and I'm gonna be fine. And me, you gonna be fine, and we're gonna make it. And that since that day forward, I was like, you know what, we're gonna do good. We're just gonna do good. And I was like, I'm going to be the best mom I'm going to be, regardless of what I experienced as a child, regardless of my relationship at that time with my parents. I'm going to do what I need to do. And I was like, that's it. So I started really just caring for her in every way. Now, I always cared for her. Like if she cried, I knew. I knew she was hungry. Sometimes like the first week or so, you start letting your babies cry, and that's how you know a mother is really attentive, because she's paying attention to the different sounds her baby makes, and she's like, oh, that cry means to change the diaper. No, that cry means to pick up. That cry means to, she's sleepy. That cry means she's hungry. So I started knowing those different cries, and I always responded to her. But I remember one day I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't know if I love her. Now, some people go, oh, but hold on. And I was young, and I didn't have at that time the support I needed, and I felt overwhelmed, and I knew, I knew I had to take care of her. And so my mom said, "Well, are you taking care of her?" I said, "Yeah, of course. Like what? Like what kind of question is that?" And she was like, "Okay, that's all you need to do right now." And I was like, "Okay." She was like, "As long as you're taking care of her, that means you love her." And I was like, okay. But I didn't feel that love. But I did the moment I heard her cry. I was like, oh, my baby's crying. But I thought it was gonna be like, oh, all these beautiful love. But it wasn't like that. But I'm telling you right now, me, that girl is inseparable. Like, I love her to death. And I love all my kids. But I'm really happy she's my firstborn. She taught me a lot, and I just love who she's growing up to be, like who she is. And I love her spirit. She reminds me of me and her dad, and I love every bit of it. So that story is telling you how, love, it wasn't love that got me through those first couple of months. It was just me recognizing my duty as a mother and what I needed to do, and her needs were above mine. And even though I didn't feel loved, I didn't like have that, oh, I love her so much, that kind of feeling within that first month. I knew what I had to do, and I did it with all my heart. And so the mothers that feel like they don't have that, oh, I love her so much, it's okay. It's okay. As long as you're doing what you need to do as a mother, you are responding, you're taking care of them. um, I believe you do love and care for your child, and your duty as a mother is very important to you. You just may not feel it. It's still a human being that you're learning, and it just like any other time in our lives when we meet people. Sometimes it's just like, let me feel this out, right? So I really enjoyed growing with her. So my second baby, I believe I had post postpartum depression with her because all the things that were like going on in my life at that time. And with her, the good thing is I had my mom and my sister with me. And at that time when I had her, I remember looking at her, and I just wasn't ready to have another one. And I remember she was just looking at me, and she looked just like me. And well, first she looked like Steven, and then she looked like me. But I remember my mom really being there, because there were times I didn't even want to, like, I responded to her, but it wasn't like how I responded to Rai Rai. I was just so tired, and the things that were happening around my life, it was so many things going on. And so my mom really like picked up that slack for me. And thanks, Mom and Angel. And, picking her up when I didn't feel like it. And then I remember we moved, and things got better for me. Well, better for us. And she was about like a month old, like 2 weeks old. No, she was a month. And things started to look up, and um, she brought so much joy into my life at that time. But the other thing I remember is it was very difficult for her, because we were having a hard time breastfeeding. And see, I didn't have that experience with Rai Rai. And I think that was something new for me. So it seemed very frustrating every time it was time to breastfeed, and it was just always a struggle. And she was up all the time crying, crying, crying. And see, Raya, she didn't cry that much. She cried for the things she needed, and that was it. My second baby cried all the freaking time, and I was just like, oh my goodness, who cries like this? And my mom said, well, you did. And I was like, and she just cried and kept me up all the time. But um you know till this day, she still cries, but that girl is so funny. She's so goofy, and I love everything about her. And it's just, I compared her to Soraya, and how I was like, you know, like, what's wrong with her? Why she's always crying? And I'm like, why is she like this? Why is she like that? I just assumed, my babies, they are all going to be kind of similar. Raya is very independent. When she was a baby, it was easy with everything. Even when I was taking her to the babysitter, it was like, bye, mom. It was just easy. With Avi, she was more like, she more needy. To me, she was. And I was like, okay, this is new. But I love it. She's still my baby girl. She'll be 6, and that girl will still lay right next to me and want, just to be with me all the time. And so I'm like, I might as well enjoy that, because my oldest is like, bye, mom, I'm leaving. Like, hi, where are you? I'm going into my room, and let me just stay in there forever. And I'm like, hello, you want to come downstairs, spend time with us? Right. So that was a learning curve for me, knowing that every baby's different, knowing that one baby can be very independent, and another baby can be like, I need you all the time. Soraya, she needed me when she needed me. Even though she was with me all the time, it was like she would do her own thing. Avi wanted me to do everything with her, and Soraya wasn't like that. So with my third baby, it was great. Having him, my son, awesome. Now, when I was pregnant, though, I was so mean. And I think that's why I knew I was having a boy, because I was aggressive. And I know that's probably stereotypical, but the other girls, I wasn't mean. I was more like, oh, I want something sweet, or emotional. With Kason, I want to fight everybody. I always want to argue. I had anger problems. But I remember having him, and it was that birth was the birth experience was something I needed to push me to become a childbirth educator, because there were so many things that went wrong, but so many things that went right. I had him naturally, um, with zero medicine at the hospital, and it was start to finish like 2 hours, but I didn't get the support I needed at the hospital, but Steven definitely supported me. He really took the pain away from me. So thank you, Steven. Thank you. But that was a learning experience. But afterwards, I remember he was very chill, easy baby. He cried and he only wanted me. And it was really good. I think I didn't have any problems with him. I felt so wonderful. I remember just really enjoying my time within the first 6 weeks of him being born. I just remember, I was so nervous. I used to call my mom, Mom, I'm worried about having, a third baby. Oh my goodness. I already have two. Am I going to be able to handle a third? And my mom was like, oh yeah, you'll be fine. You're a good mom. And it actually became easy with him. Third baby was easy. And he was an easy child. And he goes back and forth. One minute he's really close with mommy. Then the next minute he's like, I don't want you, mom. It's all about dad. Like, bye. I don't want to be with you. I want to be with dad. And then next minute he's like, Dad, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to mommy. I'm like with mommy now. So he goes back and forth. So I love his personality. He's really chill. And he's been like that since he was a baby. And I was angry while I was pregnant. But once he was born, I was chill. With my fourth, I remember at that time, I'm like, I'm not comparing any of my kids with anybody else anymore. I'm done because they're all freaking different. I'm done with that. And I had Eris, and I had her at home. Wonderful birth, wonderful labor. It was beautiful. That was the best freaking birth. Oh my goodness. That's the birth that made me want to become a midwife. And she's one right now. She'll be two. But I remember having her, and I remember crying again in the first week. And my midwife was like, it's okay. It's your hormones. Don't worry about it. You're okay. And I had all the kids, and at that time, I didn't have any support. So my husband wasn't able to take off work. He came home early from work, but I had her on Saturday. Some people were there on Saturday. I had her on Saturday. I had some support on Saturday. On Sunday, some support. And then he had to go back to work. But he got off early, like at 1. So I didn't have anybody. So it was just me and my kids. And I remember Soraya helping me out a lot. Yeah, so I was up like in 2 days up. And and there's a lot of mothers out there that know what I'm talking about. Up, taking care of your kids, up, cleaning, up, cooking. And you're not supposed to be doing that. There should be some family members that should be there for you. And at that time, my family wasn't able to, but there should be people there. If you don't have family members, there should be some friends. If you don't have friends, there should be some help, doulas, somebody, right? So I think that's why I was so overwhelmed at that time. And, and my last 3 kids were closer in age. And so I had to learn how to deal with that. Like, my oldest child was 6 years older than Avi. So that gap between them was easy. But the last two was like newborn 1 and 2 going on 3. So like 2.5, 1.5, and a newborn. And I was just like, oh, so much energy around me. I just want to rest. I just want to rest. Stop screaming. Leave the baby alone, But I got through it, and then some of her health issues start showing up later down the road within like the first 3 weeks to a month. And that just brought on a whole different kind of pain. But as she's getting older, I realized she's the reason why I'm on my route. And I hug her and I thank her every day for allowing me to experience that kind of birth with her. And she has been such a blessing to our family. So I'm saying all of this. I know this was long for other people that's been watching. You guys are troopers, but your experiences are different. Each experience is going to be different. Each baby is going to be different. Each birth, each postpartum recovery, everything is going to be different. And like with my last one, I was having so much pain, but all the doctors kept saying I was okay. I don't believe that, but I didn't know what to do. I just kept resting, rubbing, trying to heal myself, and asking God to take care of me. And eventually, I was okay. But nobody said anything. And Black women have poor outcomes sometimes because of medical professionals do not take us seriously when we say like, hey, I'm like swollen. I was swollen, and I remember they're saying, oh, that's normal. No, this isn't normal. Right. But I just wanted to share the story to let you guys know is everything is different. Your child is different. Your kids are different. Each child is different, so don't compare. um, just the feelings that you may have with each child, it may be different. With my last two children, I was so happy to see them. I had that, oh, I love them so much. The first two was kind of iffy, but I love all of them. But I'm just being honest. So if you are feeling like, oh my goodness, I don't know, I feel confused, it's okay. Just reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, because that's the best thing you can do. There are other mothers that are experiencing this or have experienced those kind of feelings. So I just want to share my story. I know it was long, but thank you for listening, watching, and I hope you share and comment below. If you are a mother, comment and say what you have experienced, all right? So other mothers can know. But I will be posting something else next week, and it will be shorter than this, I promise. But you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.